Go ahead, give our site and blog a gander. We assure you, it's going to make you say, you Van Do It. 816-944-2229 or check us out at vandoit.com.
I'm Johnny Quay, head coach of the St. Joe Mustangs. If you're looking for professional quality, customized wood bat for your baseball player, Walk Off Wood Bat Company is the place to go. All bats are made with prime quality wood, and the options for customization are endless. Gamers, fungos, training bats, they have them all. The Mustangs are excited to have Walk Off Wood as our official bat supplier this season. If we trust our players to swing Walk Off Wood, you should too. Go online and order today.
Van life. It's been defined as the continuous, everlasting void of living in a van. And if van life is calling you, then you should check out vandoit.com. Van Do It can be used as a primary vehicle with 7-passenger seating, convertible to a camper van, or anywhere in between. Go ahead, give our site and blog a gander. We assure you, it's going to make you say, you Van Do It. 816-944-2229 or check us out at vandoit.com.
I'm Gary.
This is Austin.
I'm Tyler.
And we are Midwest Mikes coming back at you live from the Hy-Vee Arena studios, or the UClick TV studios inside the Hy-Vee Arena. Man, I'm a little off my game tonight.
There
Sorry.
you go.
My day's just been crazy. But we are joined right now by Eddie Lomshek, voice of the Pitt State Gorillas. How are you doing tonight, Eddie?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Did I butcher your last name?
No, you nailed it.
Wow.
Good
First
job,
try.
Gary. Good job.
All right. I try. But, hey, we appreciate you taking some time to talk to us tonight. Getting ready for this game this weekend, obviously a big one versus Northwest Missouri State. How many years have you been the voice of the Gorillas?
This is my 23rd year in radio. It's my 22nd year affiliated with Pitt State football. I grew up in Pittsburgh and went to school at Pitt State. And first 8 years in the business, I worked the sidelines for the Gorillas. And then starting in 2005, I moved up to the booth. And I've been doing play-by-play since 2007. And so long-time affiliation with the program. And, of course, again, growing up here, it's no different than Northwest Missouri State in Maryville. It's a small-town America. And when the Gorillas are in town on a Saturday, that's it. And so, I have a lot of fond memories of going to Pitt State games as a youngster. And then, of course, the opportunity to work with the program in this capacity has just been a ball.
Yeah, what are some of those favorite games you remember looking back on as a youngster before, you were in the business and things? Just what are some of those fond memories you remember?
My first real fond memory, I was in 7th grade in 1981, and Pitt State played host to Morehead State, what it was called then, out of Minnesota, in an NAIA national playoff game. And we won that game, and then the next round, Pitt State was able to advance because Cameron, Oklahoma, was ruled ineligible. They'd broken some rules or whatever it was there, and Pitt State ended up getting a bye through the national semifinals to the national championship game. And they would go on to Elon, North Carolina. They get beat 3-0 in a mud bowl, just an absolutely frozen game, muddy, turnover-fested. Pitt State loses 3-0, a game they missed 3 or 4 field goals. And that year, again, I'm 12 years old at the time, but that's one of my first real vivid memories of Pitt State football, getting to follow that team on that journey. Willie Fritz, who coached at Central Missouri, he's now at Tulane. He was a senior on that team. There were so many guys from the Kansas City area that had ties to that team, and those guys, they were larger than life to me at that age, that are in the Pitt State Hall of Fame now, a number of those players. And, you can't be a kid in Pittsburgh and be exposed to something like that and not just develop a love for Pitt State football for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I got a couple. I coach at Shawnee Mission East here in the Kansas City area. And a couple Pitt State connections. Justin Finnegan is an offensive lineman for you guys right now. I think he's in a backup role. He graduated a couple years ago from Shawnee Mission East. Great kid. Love to see him down there. And then one of our coaches, Derek Ryder, played at Pitt State back a few years ago. And when I mentioned I was talking to him a little bit about the game this week, and he said, man, he loves listening to you on the radio.
Yeah, Derek Ryder's from not too far west of us in Crawford County, from a little town of McCune, and went to Southeast High School, about 12 miles from Pittsburgh, and his younger brothers coach up there at Blue Valley Northwest, I believe. Yep. And then you mentioned Justin Finnegan. He's a backup center. Actually saw Shawnee Mission East play a couple of times when he was a junior and a senior. A good friend that I grew up with had a son that was on those Shawnee Mission East teams, and so if they would have a Thursday game, I'd have a chance to get up there. And I know Justin has a great wrestling background, and that's helpful as a lineman. So he has pretty high ceiling. He's been on the field a little bit in some games this year, and I think the coaches are pretty high on him.
Yeah, he was always one of the hardest working kids we had in our program, and he was our center when we were a triple option team, similar to I think what you guys have went back to now. So, he kind of knows the deal, and he's just a hard work, blue collar kid, and I wish him the best down there.
Yeah, the option, the commitment to going back is definitely going to change the type of offensive lineman Pitt State recruits. That you think about bookend tackles that are 6'5", 320, and you think about the predominance this day and age with run-pass option offenses and some of that stuff, and everybody's out of the spread set in college now, but it will definitely change. A pretty good example is Ben Sinclair. He's our strong side guard. He's a guy from Ray Peck High School in Kansas City, and Ben's about 6'1", 270. Those are the kind of kids you're going to see playing center and guard for Pittsburgh State as we go forward. Tackles are still going to be a little bit bigger, but again, they're not necessarily going to be those guys that you think of as offensive tackles today with the RPO stuff.
Yeah, the game being at Arrowhead this weekend, it's always been a big rivalry. As you look back on the games you've called for Northwest, kind of what makes this such a big game for both of these programs that they circle it every year on the calendar?
Well, it's because Northwest has elevated their program, and I was watching your segment with John Coffey before I came on, and he's exactly right. Mel Churchman will be the first to tell you that when he took the job in '94 at Northwest, they went 0-11, and he looked at the best programs in the conference, and at that time it was Pittsburgh State, because when Pitt State joined the MIAA in '89, we went 6 years, or I think it was, and lost one conference game in that time. And so he said, what are they doing? Well, they'd get players in, they redshirt them, and they use that redshirt year wisely. And Northwest committed to that, and they clearly had a plan, and they stuck with it. And I remember that 96 game. Northwest ended up getting in the playoffs, and we went up to Maryville, and it was pouring rain, and it was windy, and we were both undefeated. It was for the conference championship, and Pitt State beat them 40-0. And my favorite part about that game was being on the sidelines and the Northwest students throwing bananas down at the Pitt State players, and that was that's kind of a thing of the past now, because we're such a kinder, gentler society. We don't allow that kind of stuff, but we went up there and beat them 40-0. But the next year they came down to our place, and the conditions were identical. It was windy, it was pouring rain, and they had a bobbled snap on a late touchdown, and their holder ran it in for a 2-point conversion, and they beat us 15-14. And it's been game on ever since. Now, there was a stretch, no question, from 97 through whatever, where they definitely beat us more than we would like to admit. But, then Pittsburgh State's had a couple of spurts here in the last 20 years. We beat them 3 times total, over 04 and 05. And then some of those years, the 2011 game at Arrowhead was just unforgettable if you're a Pitt State fan. And so some of those moments stand out. But what makes it what it is because the two programs are what they are. Anybody in college sports will tell you it's only a rivalry if both teams hold up their end of the deal. And again, Pitt State, we've lost more than we've won in the last 23 years. You go back to 96 or 97 since Northwest has really had it going. But still, the two programs are consistently in the top 1/3 of the MIAA. And so there's always a lot riding on this game.
Yeah, I know being in Kansas City, I always kind of follow, all the local teams, and I consider Pitt State kind of a local team. And, it's always fun when these two teams get together because you're going to see some of the best football you're going to see. It's going to be hard-hitting. Everybody's going to play hard on both sides of the ball. And it's just, hey, whoever has the ball last might win, or whoever makes one big mistake early, that might cost you the game.
Yeah, it's a situation. Both coaches will tell you games like this, you don't always have to make spectacular plays. I mean, this goes back to trying to, what you teach kids when they're 9 and 10 years old playing baseball. Everybody wants to make Sports Center top 10, but the reality of it is the teams that win most of the games are the teams that don't beat themselves. You make the routine play, you do your assignment, and you don't beat yourselves. And in games like this, truer words were never spoken because the kicking game, field position, what's going to be an X factor, which team is going to blink first and cough it up deep in their own territory. Both these teams are going to be outstanding at taking advantage of those kind of opportunities. And so there's no question that, you can settle into a tug of war, if you will, but you just can't be that team that lays it on the ground or you finish the game -3 in turnover margin. You're just not going to win these games given some of those developments.
So do you have a favorite memory from one of these games that you have called?
Oh, definitely in 2011 at Arrowhead. I say that, if I could say 1A and 1B, 2004, Pitt State beat Northwest at Arrowhead, and we had not beaten them since 96. And so that was an awesome game because it was the last game of the regular season. Two teams that were in the top 3 nationally. Whoever won was going to be the conference champion, and they were going to get a first-round bye in the playoffs. And so you had all that riding on it, and that was pretty awesome. And then in 05, we had a great running back in those years, Jermaine Race. He absolutely dominated Northwest in 2005, and I can remember one run he had and just smashing his way in, and there were about 3 or 4 Bearcats lying in his wake from between the 10-yard line and the goal line. He ran over them, around them, and through them, and that was pretty awesome. But the 2011 game, Pitt State was getting beat in that game. I think we fell behind 21-0, if memory serves. And then John Brown, who's now in the NFL, he just took over that game. And Pitt State kept finding him ways to get him the ball. Northwest was riding a long conference winning streak at that time. They were number 1 in the country. And Pitt State eventually comes down and rallies from behind. There were so many memorable plays in that game, and we kicked a field goal at the end to win it. And again, I think that kind of started to shift the balance back to getting where if you start in 2011, it's been a more even series. From 97 to 2010, Northwest definitely had an upper hand, but now in the last, 8, 9, 10 meetings, Pitt State started to hold their own again in terms of the wins.
Always really nice to see rivalries kind of get back to what they should be, which is very competitive. So that's very cool. We're going to shift gears just for a sec. I'm going to ask the same question to you that I asked to John. Which barbecue in Kansas City do you like the best? If you don't have a particular restaurant, which we prefer you answer with the restaurant, but if you have a particular style you like the best, I'll go ahead and just lay it out right here.
Oh, I think it's Joe's. I heard John say that too. And what a tough act to follow. You guys referred to John Coffey as a legend, and absolutely the case with John. He's become a friend over the years, of course, at 20-plus years of knowing him and some other guys around the league. And so many towns in the MIAA are the same, and so it's great to have that dynamic, if you will. But, yeah, Joe's is hard to beat. I say a lot of times, a number of times I've been up in Kansas City with my kids at some youth baseball tournaments. We've stayed at a hotel in Olathe right behind Joe's, and it's just impossible not to walk over there and have some ribs or have the Z-Man. But the other thing I love about it is every time I go there, I have to bring home some of their French fry seasoning. And have that around the house for stuff. You can use that stuff as a rib rub, and it's pretty good. So Joe's would probably get my nod for Kansas City barbecue.
Man, that's 2 for 2 for Joe's. And I think I have to agree with you on those fries. I can't even, no matter how full I am, I think I could still eat like everything they give me. I can still put it down. I'll just take a nap later or whatever. But that seasoning they throw on there is amazing.
Have you tried?
Great answer.
Have you tried Q39 yet?
Yeah,
I've never had Q39.
Try it.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Okay.
Jack Stacks is excellent.
Yeah, I've not had that either.
Jack Stack's really good. I would say I think Joe's
Blind Box is really good too in Shawnee.
I've had that one. I think Joe's main dishes are better. I like the sides from Jack Stack best.
Oh, I like
if you
Jack
could do like a
Stack's better.
smorgasbord, if you could get beans, if you can do this, you get beans from Jack Stack and you get your Z-Man or your ribs. Ribs from Joe's are the best, or what do you think? I like Z-Man myself.
I'm a brisket guy, so
Okay.
our